Well, Kevin, so great to meet you.
You too?
So, talk about the Wing Feather Saga and just kind of your involvement and why you even chose to lend your voice to this.
Well, the Wing Feather Saga is a sort of a culmination of a journey I've been having over the last 2 years, because in January 2020, I would bore anybody who would listen to me about the fact that I felt that my mellifluous voice wasn't being used enough on radio and in animation and stuff. So I invested in some recording equipment, professional recording equipment. And of course, as soon as COVID hit, everyone was saying, who can record from home? And my hand would go straight up.
Wow.
So I started to do a lot more voice work, which I really, really enjoy. And then it was wonderful. You know, there was bits and pieces I was doing. But then this wonderful story came to me and this wonderful character. And it's so nice to be looking at a picture of the characters now.
Yeah.
And so it was a real gift for me to do something that was a little bit, longer scale, and I could get a character I could get my teeth into. And it's a wonderful story with great characters.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy to be part of it now.
Talk about that and the importance of these type of stories in the world today in entertainment, where family, is at the forefront, with where unity is at the forefront, where good overcoming evil.
Yes, I mean, this wing feather, of course, has all of that family orientated, overcoming evil and finding your identity and finding out who you are and who your family is. And it was wonderful to find that element of it, because at first I thought, oh, I'm going to be doing a little kids show,
Right.
fantasy. But of course, it has a great deal more depth than that. I mean, it's quite dark in places. There are some really evil characters in it. And our leading characters go through some very dark times. And but I know as I was reading it, I was desperate for them to get through this, because at times you really think they're not going to make it.
You know, unfortunately, it's funny that you said that there's some dark moments, but unfortunately, our children are exposed to these things anyway. And,
Well, the darkness of it is, I think, is very honest, because I think children do grow up in a world where there are very dark forces in our world today. And so I'm very pleased that it's, I don't sort of mean this in too strong a way, but very often I think kids shows lie to them, about what to expect from life.
Yes.
And so I think a little bit more honesty about, what one might have to come up against in life is good.
preparing the next generation, because
Yeah.
what happens is we get an idealistic view of what the world we think it is
Yeah.
because of what we watch or what we listen to.
And we don't want to give them an idealistic world, but we do want to give them the idea that by working together, as a group or a family, there's virtually nothing you can't overcome. So that's
Yeah.
the positive element to it.
Absolutely beautiful. So my audience is more of the faith-based audience.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you think that they would be able to take from it?
People of faith are very aware of the dynamics between good and bad. So I can't imagine that anyone of faith would either find anything difficult in this, or even something that they wouldn't want to see or want their children to see. I think, as far as I had a very, very religious grandmother, and she was very keen to point out the pictures of hell in church to me. So I hope you continue with that tradition.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I'll show you the reality so that you can make sure you stay on the right path.
Yes.
Thank God for those grandmas, though. They keep us in line.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just think we can keep going. And so I know that the show, it talks about, the importance of reconciling your own brokenness. I recently had a son. He's 1 year old. And it's made me extremely self-reflective. Like, I need to get myself together so that I
Yeah.
can be a good example for him. Talk about that, just the importance of reconciling our own traumas and brokenness to have this healing and.
Well, I think reconciling trauma and healing it was important to me, because my character has been through a lot. He's a grandfather. He's the patriarch of a family, and this past of his, I think, has in a way prepared him and maybe made him a little too overprotective. So he's finding his way of dealing with the children and allowing them to grow and allowing them to have responsibility and, not just hiding behind his both metaphorical and actual bulk, because
Yeah.
he's a big guy.
Yeah.
So that's very much my character's journey.
That's beautiful. You also mentioned something about identity.
Mm.
I think what, thinking in a spiritual lens, because as a believer myself, I think that identity is sometimes what we're lacking, which is why we don't have the confidence to go overcome, and do what we're made to do. Can you speak to that as someone who's been in the industry for so many years, as someone who's so gifted as you are?
Well, thank you very much. Identity, obviously, with many of the things going on in the world, there's a massive concentration on identity at the moment, and
Yeah.
who you are and what you are, and things like that. For me, the more powerful element of this is how they are part of an identity, each of them. So perhaps we get too concerned in the world, struggling over a singularity and an individuality and an identity, rather than finding the identity of the people around you and the groups that you move in and the families that you move in. So that, for me, is the more important element of Wing Feather.
And that's beautiful because united is how we usually are able to.
United we stand, and what do we do when we're divided?
We fall.
We fall, yes.
What do you want people to take from the Wing Feather?
I want them to take a moment to reflect and to demand a second season. That's what I want them to do.
That's awesome. And who can watch this?
I think everybody can watch this. It's one thing I liked about it, I mean, because there's every generation in it that you can identify with, and we all like a good monster, and we have a few of those as well.
Yeah, we do. Last thing, you've lend your talent to different things. What's the importance that you felt like having this message right now from your career, wanting to lend your voice to this?
Well, very often we are asked as actors to tell stories, so they're all stories in a way. But sometimes, and I've felt that a number of times over my career, I've felt that the things that I'm doing are rather mundane and don't have a lot of depth to them. They're merely storytelling, as it were. But I did feel that this had a great deal of heart. And certainly as I get older, I want more heart in my life.
Amen. Me too. So good meeting you. Thank
You
you
too.
so
Thank
much.
you.